Hello and welcome back once again. It's time for the Golden Age, a DC Comics 365 days, where I take this well-loved coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. It's been surfing my coffee table ever since, and it's got a lot of miles and a lot of smiles, and it's the cause of a lot of comic book conversation. And I'm trying to recreate the comic book shop conversation right here with you right now. And I'm using this book for its intended purpose. I'm going to open up to today's date. We're going to look at some comic book art. We're going to read the blurb. And then we're going to talk about comic books. And we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. Tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we find out who we're talking about when we crack the book open, which we'll do right now. Just to remind you that the Golden Age of DC Comics runs between 1938 and 1955. The Silver Age is from 1956 until 1970. The Bronze Age, I'm a Bronze Age baby, from 1970 to 1985. And in 1985 begins the Copper Age. And from there, we can continue our conversation about the ages of comic books. But let's talk about the Golden Age of DC Comics. Let's crack this book open. Today is May the 30th. Happy Memorial Day to the USA, to the world. And we're going to talk about war comics just for a moment. And they were huge in the Golden Age and in my Bronze Age too. And we'll get to that. But look at all the onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is, am I saying that? Did I just pronounce it like that? A word that's spelled the way it sounds, and it's used for effect, especially in comics. And let's read the blurb. And this is a story by William Woolfolk, pencils by Jerry Grandinetti, and inks by Joe Giella, from Our Army at War, number 20, from March of 1954. And May 30th, Memorial Day. The onomatopoeic rendering of sound effects, enhanced by brightly colored block lettering, has long been characteristic of comics, and seemed to become their defining device thanks to the Batman TV shows of the 1960s. For decades thereafter, journalists writing about comics felt obliged to begin with their articles with bang, zap, pow, and the habit dies hard, although modern comics are much less likely to employ these big, bright noises. And let's look at it once again. We can tell by looking at the second panel that is a German tank, perhaps a Panzer. I don't know my German tanks of World War II very well, but you can tell from the German cross right there. That is, part and parcel of the the iconic nature of, of course, the symbols of our nation states. So this is definitely a World War II book, and this is about the tank warfare between the Germans. The Germans use their tanks, especially in Africa, and and it's Memorial Day, and we're gonna just read the wiki, because that's what we do here. We're gonna it's because it's prima facie, it's pretty decent information. Memorial Day was originally known as Decoration Day. It's a federal holiday in the United States for mourning the U.S. military personnel who died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. It is observed on the last Monday of May. It was formally observed on May 30th from 1868 to 1970. Many people visit cemeteries and memorials on Memorial Day to honor and mourn those who died while serving in the U.S. military. Many volunteers place an American flag on graves of military personnel in national cemeteries. Memorial Day is also considered the unofficial beginning of summer in the United States. June 20th will be the summer solstice, the longest day of daylight in the year, and the beginning of the actual season of summer. But the season of, summertime begins today. So, we would have today's a day of barbecues. I remember being a kid, and that was when the rock radio station or the pop radio station would have their Memorial Day countdown, 500, the top 500 rock songs. and yes, and so I am a civilian. I've been a civilian all my life. I've never joined the armed forces, but I have family members who have, and and friends who have. And thank you for your service. One of my best friends is from high school. He's a captain in the U.S. Navy Reserve, and he does active duty, several times a year. And I'm impressed. He's had this goal, and he was very adamant about reaching it. And now he's a captain in the U.S. Naval Reserves. I'm so proud of him. And I thank him. Honestly, I thank him for his service. But that's Veterans Day, not to be confused with Memorial Day. On Memorial Day, the neighborhood in Boston that I live in it's actually a city right outside of Boston, across the river, called Somerville. And I've lived here for about 15 years. And there's a war memorial called the Henry O. Hansen Memorial, and it's on the corner of Partridge Avenue and Medford Street. And Henry O. Hansen gave his life in World War II on the famous taking of the hill of Iwo Jima, the famous picture of the U.S. Marines hoisting the American flag, and that very infamous on the hill, that photograph, that iconic war photo. He lived here. He died over there, but he grew up in this neighborhood, Henry O. Hansen. So, to Henry O. Hansen and to all the fallen U.S. military members, thank you for your service. And thank you for giving your all and your everything in everything that you're going to be, and giving your dreams and your life and your lives for defending our nation. And I still believe that the United States of America is the best nation on the planet. People still flock here. People will come here illegally. People will risk their lives and for their everything to come here, to have a chance for their children to grow up here. My grandparents emigrated here from Ireland in the 1950s with that same notion in mind. And this great country has been protected by our military. And that's a fact. I mean, and today's a day to be grateful and to count our blessings and to thank our armed forces. Thank you. Marines, Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, Merchant Marines, and even the Space Force, because someday that won't be a laughing matter. I think that's part of it. And but leave a comment in the comment section. I mean, I grew up reading World War II comics. Sergeant Rock in Easy Company, Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, the Haunted Tank, GI Combat, the Unknown Soldier, Enemy Ace, all of these really interesting war comics. And some of them were darn gruesome too. I mean, just gun violence and firing squads and dead German soldiers and dead and war. These were war comics. And these were of the Bronze Age when I was a kid. My Uncle Eddie would have all these comic books in his room. Anytime I'd go over to my Nana's house with my dad, I'd make a beeline to his room and just invade his stack of comic books. And I loved all those World War II comics that he had. And, but yeah, happy Memorial Day. Give thanks. Be blessed. Whatever country you're in, you know, you need to give thanks to your military as well. Like, you know what I mean? There are wives and daughters and our aunts and uncles and our husbands and you know, and neighbors and friends and family, veterans, and also the people that gave their everything, their lives. So happy Memorial Day. Cheers. And we're going to be talking about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. We'll figure out who we're talking about when we crack the book open tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. I make daily content. I videotape bunnies first thing in the morning. I got bird song. We talk about gratitude lists and spirituality. I talk about cooking. I'm a professional chef. I got soup videos that's gonna make you hungry. And we talk about comic books every day. So God bless, namaste, good luck, and tune in tomorrow. Hope to see you then, okay? Bye-bye, and have a great day.